It's Eat Your Veggies. Yes, vegetables. Today on Let's Cook. Hi, welcome to Let's Cook. Do you know that according to the FDA or USDA or anybody who's an authority on vegetables, a minimum of 5 to 9 vegetables a day with fruits and vegetables that we should be eating every day. So today we're doing Eat Your Vegetables. I had trouble saying as a child vegetables, and I had trouble saying salt. I used to say salt, and actually my family used to fool around with me and say, Paul, ask for the salt, and I would say, please pass the salt. Now, for salt. So I actually learned to eat without salt. And when I became a chef, it took a while to get used to the amount of salt that we actually need to use in food to bring the flavor out, even though vegetables contain a terrific and a natural amount of salt that will really bring the flavor out. Now, I would love to give you all these lovely facts on veggies today, but I'm not. I'm just going to show you this terrific plate right now of everything that we're making today, because we're making some wonderful gnocchis with a shiitake sauce, and we're doing some broccoli rabe with tomatoes and garlic, and of course some yellow squash fritters. We're going to take a little break, and when we come back, I'm going to show you exactly how to make some delicious gnocchi in a shiitake mushroom scallion broth. Don't go anywhere. It's Eat Your Veggies today on Let's Cook. Hi, welcome back to Eat Your Veggies today on Let's Cook. Now, I'm going to show you how to make gnocchis, but I also need to get the broth going for the gnocchis that we're going to serve it in. So I have a pan right here, and what I've done is I'm heating the pan. I'm going to put just a minimum amount of olive oil into the bottom of the pan. Along with that olive oil, once it starts to ripple there, coats the bottom nicely, we'll add some shallots to this. I'm going to take these shallots, just cook them off just a little bit as I am right now. Then I'm going to hit it with a little bit of brandy. Now, the brandy we have to flame to cook this off. So because I do not have an open flame here and I have an induction stove, I can actually leave the pan there to add the brandy to it. However, if you're doing it at home, take it away from the heat, add your brandy to it, bring it back over to the stove, then using a match or the flame, you're going to give it a little bit of a light. And we're going to let that brandy flame off. Once that brandy is flamed off, I'm going to add my mushrooms to this. These are all thinly sliced shiitake mushrooms, very healthy, very good for you. Now take these, we'll add a little bit of salt to this, a little bit of pepper, and some nice brown stock here, or even veggie stock you could use. Now I'm going to add enough stock here so that these mushrooms cook through and it can reduce almost by about half, and that's going to be done by the end of this segment. Now we need to make our gnocchis. To make our gnocchis here, I'm using, first of all, I have boiling water here to cook them in, but I have a potato here that I cooked with the skin on. Then with my knife, I'm going to peel off the skin, and I cool this in the refrigerator with the skin on. When I peel this with the knife, I don't cut into it like this. I hold the knife on a 20-degree angle away from the potato, and the skin comes off nice and easily this way. You can also, there's another way of doing it where you can take the potato, and I'll show you this because I have another one here. Just thought of this now, but where you can take a side towel like this. Put this that way. Take just a nice clean side towel, and see how with the towel, you can just pull the skin right away and you don't lose any of the potato. You see how nice and easy that comes off? Look, beautiful. And your hands don't get all messed up. So you can remove the skin that way too. Great. Now, the other thing we have to do is with the gnocchis now, we need to rice them. We don't want to develop the starch in the potato. So what I'll do is I have my ricer right here. I put the potato here and I just force it right through the ricer there. This way the starch is not developing them in the potato. Perfect. We then take our potato, which is nice and cooled down. It has to be very cool. We'll take this, we'll break one egg into the middle. Break the egg into a bowl first, making sure there's no blemishes. Drop that into the bowl. Then we'll take a fork, and we're just going to take the egg and mix it in with our potatoes. No flour in this yet. This is really a potato. Gnocchis are really a potato starch dumpling. So we mix the egg in there well. Then to this now, we're going to add our cheese. and just a little bit of flour here. The whole trick to this is not to over mix this. Just kind of mix this together. Beautiful. Once it's mixed together and it's actually starting to form balls like this, I'll take my hand, I'll get it in there, and I'm just going to work this a little bit. This way I can feel it. I can feel how wet it is. I know how much flour to put into this. I'm going to need this just till it comes together. I need maybe about this much more flour. Perfect. Great. Just till it all comes together. I'm only going to mix this just till it comes together. Once it comes together, and I'll just take a piece out of here right now, I'll show you. Once this comes together, a little bit of bench flour here. I'm going to take, because we want these to be nice and tender. Just roll them down this way. Just get a little bit more of a roll out of these. And you have to be very gentle when you're doing this. If you're not gentle, it's going to end up being very tough. Just roll this together just till it comes together. I like them nice and tender this way. Then we take these. We cut them down into small pieces like this. Now we need to make a little bit of a cup on the gnocchi for it to absorb the sauce. So what I'll do is I'll take my hand like this. And right here with my fork this way, I go like this. And I just pull it off like that. Each one of these, just kind of rolling it off my finger. Start here a little bit higher and roll it off that way. And that way I end up with a nice little cup there. Let me just show you there. Should have a nice little cup there to hold the sauce once I cook these. I already have a whole bunch of these done already though. Let me get these out right here. Here we are. And what I did is I just dropped these in the freezer for a second. I'm going to drop these in the water. We're going to allow these to cook. They're going to take about 8 minutes to cook at a boil. We're going to let our sauce to continue to cook down. We're going to take a little break. When we come back, I'm going to put these together. Plus, we have some delicious broccoli rabe that we're making and squash fritters. Don't go anywhere. It's Eat Your Veggies today on Let's Cook. We'll be right back. Hi, welcome back to Let's Cook. Now we're going to go ahead and finish our gnocchis here. I just added a little bit more stock to my broth here. You see how nice and rich this looks? Now I'm going to go ahead and add the scallions in at the very last minute. Last but not least, we take our gnocchis now right out of the boiling water here, right into the mushroom sauce. Now, I use shiitake mushrooms for this, but if you did not want to use shiitake mushrooms, you could go ahead and use regular common mushrooms, or if you had almost any, morel would be very nice, portobello mushrooms would be very nice, any of those. Now, all we do with this is toss this just a little bit here. Now you're going to notice that this is really swimming in the sauce. Absolutely great. And what these gnocchis are going to do is they're going to continue to absorb this extra liquid. It's going to be out of this world. Look how good this looks. Doesn't this look fabulous? Absolutely out of this world. Beautiful. Now, the next item that I'm going to make is I'm going to make some fritters here. So I'm going to get my pan on the stove right now and let that start to warm up with just a little bit of oil here for the fritters. Now, fritters are basically, we're making a batter. So to make the batter here, I'm going to take some flour. Along with that flour, I'm going to take some baking soda or baking powder, a little bit of salt there, a little bit of white pepper, and then with a whip, I'm going to mix these together. When I mix these together, I'm actually incorporating air and making sure all my dry ingredients are well mixed. Great. Now, once I have that done, I have some fresh breadcrumbs here. I like to put them in for texture. We have a little bit of garlic there. Going to put in a little bit of shallot here as well. We have some dill. We have some parsley, a little bit of basil there too. And again, now I'm going to mix this again together. Beautiful. Now we need our squash. Now, I already have some beautiful, look at this. Looks like spaghetti, doesn't it? Absolutely beautiful. So we have our squash here. I'll show you exactly how much or how we go ahead and julienne this. You need a mandolin. What you're going to do with the squash is after you wash it, you're going to cut it very thin this way. When you get to the seeds or you're running it down a mandolin and you can hear those seeds, you're going to stop pressing it because they're loaded with water and you don't want that in your squash fritter. So let me get a few more here and I'll show you exactly how far I go down. See right here, once I start to get the seed right there, that's when I stop running it through. There we go. Beautiful. That'll be enough. I mix this together. And what I'll do with I'll actually take this, I'll mix this together to make sure that the flour and all my dry ingredients are well mixed together so that the squash itself having a little trouble with saying squash, but the squash stays nice and separate. And you'll notice I don't have a lot of flour left in the bowl. Now I have my eggs and I'll add my buttermilk. Break that egg, mix this together. We want this to be somewhat tight, but this is just a little too tight. Get a little bit of water in there too. Want nice and light. There we go. See how we just mix this together just till it forms or comes together. Absolutely out of this world. There we go. So now I'm going to take these. When you drop these into the oil, use a spoon this way. Actually, you can use 2 spoons this way. I'm going to take this, pick this up, form it so that, because you're going to have a lot of loose strands here. You see how I formed that with the spoon that way? Then I'll just take it and gently drop it into the pan. I'll let this start to cook. Now, the other thing that you can do is if you want, you can make these fritters, and it's a good idea. It's a very good idea to take this and finish these in the oven if you'd like. There we are. Just going to drop those in there. We'll let them start to cook. The oil should be at about 275 degrees when you're cooking these. These are going to get golden brown on both sides, and then I'm actually going to pop them in the oven, making sure that they're cooked all the way through, because sometimes the batter will stay a little wet so it might brown. But I'm sure everybody out there has had a pancake. When they first made a pancake, cut into the pancake and a little bit of the batter oozed out. You don't want that to happen when you're making these fritters. The next item that we're making is a broccoli rabe. So I'm going to allow these fritters to cook. We're going to take a little break. I'll show you the fritters when we come back. And then I'm also going to show you how to make a delicious broccoli rabe that's not bitter. Don't go anywhere. It's Eat Your Veggies today on Let's Cook. We'll be right back. Hi, welcome back to Let's Cook, where now we have to do our broccoli rabe. But before we do our broccoli rabe, look at these fritters that we started in the last segment. And I turned over just one of them so that when we came back, do you see how they're puffing up? And now I'm just going to turn this one over. When you turn these over, be careful not to burn yourself, but look at that great color. And this is going to give us great flavor and also differing textures within our veggie plate. That's the other thing. When you're making vegetables, if you take and you use different cooking methods, you're going to end up with a lot of different flavors, textures, and tastes. Now, right here, I have some water. I'm bringing that up to a boil because what I'm going to do with the broccoli rabe is I'm going to blanch it before I saute it, and then I'm going to shock it. That's going to get rid of the bitterness. Now, I have my broccoli rabe right here, and I just need to show you something about the broccoli rabe. If you have ends like this, whoops, let's go back to that. I'll show you. I promise not to move it, John. You see how you have the ends right there? You need to take and make sure that you cut those off. And also, broccoli rabe, if you need to make sure it's nice and fresh, take it, crack it. You hear that cracking? See how it cracked, it broke, it snapped? We need the broccoli rabe to snap if it's going to be nice and fresh. And the other thing we need with broccoli rabe is I removed most of the leaves right here. I only left 1 or 2 leaves on the top here when I cleaned it up. Some chefs will leave more of the leaves on. You can do that. It's healthier for you, but I find it to be a little bit bitter. Okay, so those are almost done here. My water is almost at a boil there because I have to blanch the broccoli rabe. That's the other thing. When you're blanching veggies, when this water comes up to boil, I'm going to put a lot of salt in it. What that salt will do is it's not going to salt the broccoli rabe, but what it will do is it will lock in the color and it will neutralize the natural acid that comes out of the green vegetable when it's boiling. So my broccoli rabe is almost ready to go in there. Going to now take my garlic. Now the garlic, we're going to sliver the garlic to go in our broccoli rabe. Now, so when we sliver, what you're going to do with your knife is, first of all, if you have a green stem on the inside of your garlic, see how that's not green, it's nice and fresh, but if there was a green stem in there, I would remove that green stem. I also take it, if you're not really good with a knife, I'll take it and I'll cut my garlic in half this way. Because by cutting it in half, when I go to cut it very thin, it doesn't move on me and it doesn't roll. Then you kind of get into the mold like this, and you just kind of go across the garlic and you go nice and slow like that. And then what you end up having is you end up having garlic that's nice and separate like that. 1, 2, 3. I usually will put a song into my head, you know, like whoa, see, got to pay attention there. Any fast song that'll work for me. And the other thing, I'll show you this one more time. From the edge here, from the front here, if we can go from the front here, I'll show you that the way see how my finger is curled there? So, and I'm doing this in slow motion so that as I bring it down, there's no likelihood of me cutting myself. You don't want your hands like that, you'll cut yourself. Curl your knuckles this way, and that way you won't end up cutting yourself, and you can end up going a little faster. You can also, if you don't want any noise in the kitchen, you can go in a rocking motion back and forth this way. Okay, good. All righty. Now, here we are. We're going to get our fritters out here because these are totally done now. Those are good to go. Beautiful. Okay, now my water's coming up here now. I'm just going to put a little bit of salt in here. Then we're going to drop our broccoli rabe into this and just blanch it very quickly. Just wait till the color comes out of this. While that's going on, coming over here, we're going to heat our pan. You see how simple those ingredients are for the broccoli rabe? Very simple. Have my pan nice and hot there. To this now, I'm going to add some butter. There we are. Pull that off. Just let that cool down just for a little bit before we get our broccoli rabe in there. As a matter of fact, this might happen to you. I got carried away with myself. The pan got way too hot. It's dangerous. Put that in the sink. Don't let any water go in there because that can burn it. I'm just going to heat up this pan right here. I'll put a little bit of fresh oil in there. Once oil burns like that, it gets very bitter. You really can't use it. And a lot of people out there are probably saying, finally, he burned the oil. Yeah, I did burn a little bit of oil. I'm just going to get a little bit of butter out here now, because I do need butter in this. You really need a little bit of butter to go into this broccoli rabe. So here we go. A little bit of butter in there. We're going to let that butter start to melt. While that's going on, I'm going to take my garlic now that I slivered, drop this in the pan, and let that start to cook. I don't want the garlic to brown up. All I want it to do is to release its flavor. Let's take a look at our broccoli rabe now. You see how the color, look at this great color here. Now we'll take this now like this, pop this into the ice water. Once it's in the ice water like this, you need to move it around. When you move the broccoli rabe around like this, and I'm going to move this so I can show you this now. When you move this around, you make sure that it's very cold. You want it to be nice and cold. But once it's cold, once you can hold this up and you no longer feel any heat coming out of it, it's shocked. And that's when you remove it from the water, because remember, you've broken down a lot of the cellular structure, the cellulose within the vegetables, and this way it won't absorb that water. Broccoli rabe now goes into the pan here. Along with the broccoli rabe, I'm adding my tomatoes. As well as that, I'm just going to put in a splash here of water. What that water is going to do is it's going to allow the broccoli rabe to finish cooking if it requires any cooking, and it's also going to blend all the flavors together. Okay, well that comes up here. I only have a little bit of time left. I only have 1 minute left, so let's take our fritters right here. Get our fritters on this plate right here. We'll finish the fritters here with a little bit of grated Romano cheese. Oh, so good. And then my broccoli rabe. Here we are, right here, right onto the plate with that beautiful tomato sauce. Okay, so today on Let's Cook, we were fortunate. We took and we did some wonderful broccoli rabe, some wonderful squash fritters, and of course, some gnocchis with a delicious shiitake mushroom broth. Thank you so much for watching Let's Cook today. And remember, eat your veggies or vegetables, however you like to call them. They're all good for you. Bye-bye for now. Thanks again for watching.